Hello everyone and welcome. You know, how can I say this? It's just something that has been on my mind a lot. And that is, so many people seem to be lonely. And when I was out there a few weeks ago, I was going for a walk. And I actually went for a walk here at my own garden. And I went down the Boreen because it's lovely and quiet. And you can hear all the birds singing. There's so many, it's like a bird sanctuary there. And I was feeling lonely in myself because I knew that there was millions of people out there feeling lonely. And I was asking God, how can I help them? What can I say that would comfort them and help them feel better? And on the Boreen, it's just, it's wild. And I had to walk through stuff and had the trees on each side and the birds singing, and kind of this little turn. And just before the turn there, I heard my name being called. And it was Archangel Michael. And he came up towards me. And he just said, Lorna, I know what's on your mind. And did I want to talk about it? And I just said, yes, I would love to, Archangel Michael. So I don't know how long we were down in the Boreen, how long we were standing there. I know we took a few steps every now and then back towards the house, but it did seem like a long time, to me anyway. And the sun was shining that day, and it wasn't freezing cold. And I just have to smile because Archangel Michael, how would I say it? He was dressed very much like, he had jeans on, and a jacket. And I laughed at him because he had a hat on his head, one of those, what I would call very old-fashioned hats, not a berry, was one of those hats that sometimes I would have seen my dad wearing, or my grandfather as well. And I laughed at Archangel Michael and I said to him, your hat even looks a bit bashed, battered. And he just smiled at me. And I just remember, we standing there talking about loneliness. And I said to him, so many people are telling me they are lonely. And they may even have lots of friends, but they're still lonely. And sometimes we would wonder, why would someone be lonely when they have a lot of friends? And Archangel Michael just said to me, and his words were, how can I repeat them? Because they are not true to themselves, Lorna. They're not being them. They're not speaking of what's on their mind. And when you're feeling lonely, he said to me, it's a lack of love. You can have all the friends in the world. You can even have what some people might say a great marriage, and one of the partners could feel lonely. At times, at different times. You have to have that love. You have to, I know I said to Archangel Michael, I know you have to love yourself so you can love your partner and love your friends. But what is blocking that love? What is making us so lonely? And when I was standing there talking with Archangel Michael, I realized that a lot of the time we don't talk about what's on our mind. We are not being ourselves. We're talking about, other things because everybody else is interested in other things. So we have all of our concerns and worries bottled up in ourselves, and we talk in our head about all of those things instead of talking about those things with our friends and our partners. I always remember this lady telling me, I'm lonely. And I said to her, but you have children and you're married. And she said, but I'm still lonely within my family. And she said she was desperately lonely at times. Now, she did say not all the time, but she said there's times I'm desperately lonely and I'd feel I would love a friend. And then she turned around to me and said, I do have friends. But she said she would love a friend that she could talk freely with as she talks with myself. And I think part of that is that we don't talk about the deep things inside of us. A friend or a partner should be able to share literally everything. Talk about everything, not just what's going on outside in the world. If you're worried all about that, or a particular part of it, yes, you should talk, but you should talk truly what you feel and not feel that you will be run down or condemned or, told that's silly in that way. Loneliness can stem from the lack of love, of being told you are loved, the lack of that human embrace, because that human embrace, how would I say, just fills us with peace. Someone is holding on to me. And yet I know at times someone who is very lonely doesn't know what to do with love, doesn't know what to do with that human embrace. And that's why I would say to you, no matter who your partner is or your friend, or even if you say to me you don't have any friends, I would love to say to you, go out and have that cup of tea in a cafe. And if you see someone else there sitting alone, say hello. And brush up a conversation about anything. We need to reach out to each other a little bit more and not to, how would I say it, let our differences step in the way, not to allow our fear step in the way. Because loneliness is a horrific thing. I've even met people who would say they have mental issues. And I know that's the word used today. I hope it's the right word. And I have often asked them, do you be lonely? And I have to smile. A lot of them have said, no, I'm not, because I talk about everything. And they work on trying to love themselves. Now, I have met others who would say, yes, they are extremely lonely because nobody bothers with them. Nobody has time for them. Nobody shares with them. Nobody, would say, come on out for a cup of tea, or if they were out walking, would, stop and chat to them, even if it's about the dog or about the beautiful day, and I think that's a disconnection we have that triggers loneliness. Loneliness can be caused in many, many different ways. And we have to strive to be ourselves, to love ourselves, so in a sense that we can connect. We have to be, what I would say, that peace. If you go out today and you go out with the intention of being a caring, loving person, you will connect to other human beings, whether they give you a smile or say hello and they're a stranger, or give you a hand, hold and open a door, or maybe you're, what would you say, pushing a supermarket trolley and they move out of the way for you. It's like all these opportunities we have to connect with another human being, to help to take away the loneliness that we feel inside of us, because you're not alone. And to me, that's very powerful words if you say them to yourself. You are not alone. There is millions of human beings in the world, and you are connected to nature, and your guardian angel is right there. And you have this beautiful soul. You're not alone. And I would love to, how would I say, embrace every human being, hug them and tell them I love them. Like, I'm all the time still in this modern day that there's so much, but yet there's so much hate and anger. I'm meeting young people, teenagers, young people in working in a job, and they're telling me they're lonely. And it always seems to an Irish saying, well, I think it's an Irish saying, boil down to, they have no one to talk to. They don't really have a friend. I have loads of friends, but I don't have a friend. So it's like as if loneliness has to get over a barrier, each and every one of us. And it's okay to feel lonely as well at times, but I don't want you feeling lonely all of the time. Because sometimes one can feel lonely and it passes. It can be something that's on your mind, or something you would love to share with someone, or you would love someone to give you a hug and say they love you. And sometimes someone would say to me they're lonely because they've no romantic love in their life. But you have to reach out with your love to receive as well. And I always say, ask for the help that you need so that you won't feel so lonely. And maybe, your friends are lonely too, and you don't know it. Maybe when you meet them, they have drinks and they seem all merry and they seem all happy, and you're copying them, and they think you're happy and that you're not lonely, but none of you are sharing this discussion with each other. And I think that would help loneliness. I think if friends would share how they feel, do they feel lonely? Maybe you should ask one of your friends by the way, do you ever feel lonely at times? Because I do at times. And I do myself personally, because sometimes the angels would say, we've come to visit because you're feeling lonely. And sometimes that is because maybe I have been working so much and haven't had time to get out and about, time to let go, or time to meet a friend. You know, we all need human connection. So I think that would be a great lesson for everybody. You know, even ask your partner, do they feel lonely? Because when you say that to someone, you know, you're saying like, hey there, I'm just wondering, do you ever feel lonely at times? Because I do. It gives you the opportunity to say, because I do at times. And to talk about it. Like, there's so many things we don't talk about. And spiritually, we need to. Because even Archangel Michael reminded me in the Boreen, you know, we need to talk about it because we're not just human beings, we're spiritual beings as well. And we have a guardian angel right there. And our soul is pure love. Like, and we don't tap in enough to that. And sometimes, as I said, I would feel lonely too. But you do have to talk about it. Because spiritually you need to make that connection, spiritually and humanly, with human beings. And it's like we need to take down the, what would you say, you know, that veil that we have up, saying how strong we are. So maybe that's something you could do now. You know, if you have a partner, bring it up. You know, ask your friends, do they ever feel lonely? Even when they, you know, sometimes when someone has a pint or something on them, they'll actually come out and admit the truth in that way because the drink has made them so relaxed and free and they're not afraid to say. So maybe you should do that to help to heal the loneliness that you are feeling at times. And again, it's okay to be lonely. You are all right. So, but not all the time. So I'm going to say, God bless and I love you. And I wish I could give you a hug. So I just send you a spiritual hug and I love you very much. God bless. Bye-bye.